Alright, guys, how does that sound? Finally have some intro music. That's fantastic. So, got some things going here for us now. Actually have a way to post these podcasts to our YouTube page, which is awesome. And we're getting some good content here. We've got playoffs happening in two different sports. We got the draft coming up and all kinds of stuff. Only thing we're missing is you can hear that emptiness there. There's not a second person here. Yeah, I told Tyler I was going to roast him on here because he hasn't shown up for the show for like 2 weeks now. He wanted to do a podcast and we never got around to doing it because, we were both busy. But I asked him to be on this one and he's like, I got a group project. I can't. So he said to leave a slot open for him to do his little baseball rant that he's just been dying to do. But we'll see. Maybe I won't even leave a spot for him. So, we're going to go ahead and get started here. We're going to jump into the NBA playoffs because that's what a lot of people are probably watching right now. Mostly is the NBA playoffs. So, let's go ahead and start with that. We did have a couple updates on the show that we postponed to Monday night. So, we're going to start after Monday night. So the Celtics are looking great, aside from their injuries to some of their star players against the Bucks. The Bucks definitely, I would say, are not playing as well as some people would hope to think, especially when they have Giannis Antetokounmpo. I feel like I said that fairly well for the not slowing down. Anywho, I've heard people say that Giannis Antetokounmpo. So, saying it fairly good. It's a win in my book. Yeah, you figure he would be able to take over a game like this and at least get one win. They're still only about 2 games into that playoff. They are only 2 games into that playoff series. So I'm sure the Bucks will at least win one game. I highly doubt the Celtics are going to sweep that series. But we'll have to see. Adjusting some mic standpoint here so I can actually get some good sound. Hopefully this sounds good to everybody. Nobody's really giving me feedback on these, so hopefully they sound alright. Anywho, Raptors taking care of the Wizards again, 130-119 on Tuesday night. Raptors are looking good. Is this finally the year that they break the trend and actually win a playoff series or do good in the playoffs like everybody expects them to? Who knows? It's only 2 games. Everybody knows that the Raptors play fantastic in the regular season and then just die out in the playoffs, so we'll have to see about that. Portland Trailblazers, what is going on there? I am super disappointed with them. They're playing the New Orleans Pelicans, and the Blazers have home court advantage, and they lost both the first games. The first game was only a 2-point game, I believe it was, maybe 3-point. The second game came to a 2-point game, but then, most basketball games, you do all kinds of fouling at the end, and they couldn't put up shots, but the Pelicans made their free throws. So that game was a 9-point game that looked, score-wise, looked a little bit better for the Pelicans, but still was a close game. I have no idea what's going on there. Damian Lillard's not playing as well. He's shooting in the 30%, somewhere around the 30s in percentage of shots made, and that's not getting it done. Him and CJ McCollum are not having the greatest playoff so far. They got Mo Harkless back for their second game, and it didn't have much of an impact, and now Evan Turner's going to be gone for their third game, which I think is tonight. I don't know. We'll get to that. So, yeah. They're saying it's simple. We're going to go into New Orleans and win 2 games, and I really hope so, because otherwise you won't be able to come back from this deficit if you're going to be getting beat at home by the Pelicans that badly. Now looking to the action that happened Wednesday night, which was last night here. LeBron went off. It was going to happen eventually. Playoff LeBron's a totally different monster. He scored, 46 points, I believe it was. Nearly had a triple-double. And yet, the Cavs just barely beat the Pacers by 3. So that's incredible. I wish the Pacers could have beat them. I hope the Pacers still win that series because I don't want LeBron in the finals. I don't want the Warriors in the finals. I don't want a Cavs finals part 4. That would just be disgusting. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. The Thunder got beat by the Jazz. The big three of Westbrook, Melo, and George did nothing late in the game. In the fourth quarter, they went 0 for 14 combined. So that's great. You're totally going to win a lot of games doing that. So, who knows? Maybe Donovan Mitchell will take over this series now, and the Jazz can, take something up at home. We'll see. I still think the Thunder will probably win that series. I've been seeing a lot of people thinking the Thunder are going to make the Western Conference Finals. I don't necessarily know about that, but I think that they should beat the Jazz. So we'll see how that goes. The Rockets got back on track and beat up on the Timberwolves 102-82. 20-point win. That's always good. So yeah, they're right on track with everything. Tonight's games, where's my cursor? There we go. Excuse me. For tonight's games, right now the Sixers are playing the Heat, and the Sixers are up 40-37 with a little under 9 minutes to go in the second quarter. The Blazers and Pelicans play tonight at 8 o'clock in New Orleans, and a little after that start time, the Warriors are playing the Spurs. Golden State leads that series 2-0. Pelicans lead that series 2-0. And I believe the Sixers Heat is 1-1. And fun story of something that cool happened today that I do have a little recording for everybody to listen to here. If some of you don't know, I do go to Illinois State University, and this week we had our celebration of the School of Communications with Com Week. And with Com Week, we had all kinds of alumni and presenters and whatnot coming in and talking about things they use their comm degree for. And today I went to a presentation for a class, and it was from an ISU alum who is the public relations manager of the Chicago Bulls. So I thought while we were talking the NBA real quick, I'd just go ahead and play some clips here, or play the 2 clips I got from this, because I thought it was a pretty cool thing. This is from Beth Grady, the PR manager of the Chicago Bulls.
Is how do you deal with losing like a big name player like when Derrick Rose left or Dwayne Wade got his buyout or Butler got traded?
Yeah, with the second key on this, that's for a little bit, but luckily you focus on, you drive the conversation of like, yes, this sucks, but like we wish them well, and try to focus on what you currently have and what that means for us. So what did you get in return from the trade, or when you lost that player, and promote the positive side, what you got in return.
Yeah, so now I can see that you're not going to be able to hear that as well, but hopefully it comes across good enough once I put it out there for everyone to hear. So that was the first question. I only got 2 questions in because they were trying to hurry this along towards the end when they were asking questions. And there was another guy in there that was like one of her former teachers, and he was pointing people out to ask questions. And so he was like, after every question, he'd be like, any more questions? And it's like, if you didn't get your hand up in like 5 seconds, he was going to say like, okay, bye. So then here's the second question and I'll explain this one a little bit too, because I got interrupted by that guy, and I didn't get a whole lot out of this question.
Last year when the Bulls drafted Markkanen, I saw all over Twitter and stuff that everybody was just hating on the pick. It's just some random foreign guy that sucks.
Can I stop you for a second?
Go ahead.
Don't use the word everybody.
A majority of people that I saw. Yes. A large majority of people that I saw on Twitter were saying a lot of bad things about him. How do you guys handle that? Do you just say the good things that he can provide for the team, or is it just kind of like deal with the pick? No, that's fine.
People do that all the time, and it's just, that's the kind of thing that makes people's heads explode. It's like, no, it's not everybody.
So yeah, that went okay. And I didn't have the greatest device to record audio with. I just had my phone. So, and I was like sitting halfway back, or halfway through the lecture hall, so I wasn't like right up close. She had a microphone on too, and it still wasn't that loud. But that second question, I know the audio was kind of bad. I asked how, as a PR person, how did they deal with all the backlash they got from drafting Lauri Markkanen? Because I know a lot of people that I saw on Twitter and Facebook, and even Scotty, when he was still here, was saying, you know, it's just some foreign guy. He played good over there. He's going to come over here and he's going to suck. There's multiple players at that position. Is he even going to play? You know, who cares? And he turned out to be a good draft pick so far. And so I asked her, you know, like, how did they deal with that? And she said, just ignore it. You know, it is what it is. You can't get into things with some guy that thinks they know everything when they've never, like, even played basketball in their life and have no, like, impact on what the team does. And that other guy that interrupted me also said, when you say things, which it was a little bit of an over-exaggeration, which everybody does, literally everybody in that sense, and if you didn't hear from the clip, I'll explain what I mean by that. A lot of times when people are talking, they say, everybody does this. They don't actually mean every single living person on this earth. And that guy jumped me and said, don't say everybody, because not everybody enjoyed it. It's like, dude, okay, obviously I'm just over exaggerating a little bit, but a lot of people. So that was kind of funny. Another funny thing was my friend, who I hope to get on this podcast eventually, Nathan, he asked what was it like to when, for the PR people, when Derrick Rose kept getting injured. And she said, well, luckily for me, I was only there, or I've been there since his last season with the Bulls, so I didn't have to deal with all of that. So that was kind of funny. And then another person asked them about all the Fire Garpax stuff going on up there with the Bulls, the billboard and the T-shirts and everything. And she said they're kind of just letting that one go. They don't want to, like, try to fight with fans or try to start something that is very unnecessary. So that was pretty funny, seeing her reaction to some of these questions. So that was cool as well, also to meet the public relations manager of the Chicago Bulls and be able to ask her a couple questions. Beth Grady, PR manager for the Chicago Bulls. So now we're done with the basketball here for now. We'll go ahead and get into the NHL playoffs. So right now, the Washington Capitals finally got a win as of Tuesday. We're going back to that because we gave an update on what happened on Monday. Caps finally got a win in that series. They won 3-2 in double OT against the Jackets, and now they're in 2-1, still trailing 2-1 in that series. The Jets are looking real good against the Wild. They got a 3-1 lead in that series. And the Golden Knights sweep the LA Kings. And I've been saying, for a little while that I was predicting Vegas to be in the Western Conference Final, and now it could happen. They're playing great hockey when it really matters. Will they make it to the Stanley Cup? I don't know, but it would be cool if they did. And if they did, they're going to end up having to play like the Penguins or the Lightning. So we'll see. That could be a really good Stanley Cup. We'll have to find out. Let's see if we go on to the games that happened last night on Wednesday. Speaking of the Pens, they beat the Flyers 5-0, so they've got a 3-1 lead in that series. The Flyers have looked really bad in that series, aside from that one game that they actually won. And they won that one like 5-0, I think, or maybe it was 5-1. So that was the only one they looked good. Every other game they've looked really bad because they've either gotten shut out or just whooped. Excuse me. Lightning beat the Devils 3-1. They're cruising in that series aside from that one game that they lost. The Preds are up on the Avs. Yes, the Avs. I don't know why I hesitated on that. They're up 3-1 in that series, and they beat them 3-2 yesterday. And the Sharks complete the sweep of the Anaheim Ducks. So they're going on to play the Vegas Knights in the next round. And, that's going to be an interesting series, I think, because I thought that could potentially be the Western Conference Final for the West, is the Sharks and the Knights. Now it turns out it could end up being, the Preds and maybe the Knights, or the Jets and the Sharks, or so. You never know. We'll have to find out how that goes after the second round. We're getting a little too far ahead of ourselves here. But hey, 2 Western teams sweep, and there's a bunch of other teams that are getting ready to take care of things. Tonight we only got 2 games going on. Right now the Maple Leafs and the Bruins are tied at 1-1, and the Bruins lead that series 2-1. The Caps are up on the Blue Jackets right now, and we already said the Jackets lead that series 2-1. So yeah, we'll have to see how those games pan out, and we'll probably talk about those on Sunday night. If we move on to some baseball news now, we're missing the big baseball guy, so I'm not going to get way too into anything here, but I could touch on some things because I'm not the biggest baseball guy ever. Red Sox are killing it right now. They got the best record in the league right now. I believe they're 15-2 is what it is. Yeah, they're doing great. And, they got some hitting. They got some good, decent pitching going on right now. Well, who knows? We'll have to see how far they take that or how long that lasts. It could end after a little bit. You never know. The Mets are silently killing it as well. They're 13-4, I think. One of the better records in baseball. And I put a little asterisk by this one because I know that's for now. What's his name? The pitcher for the Mets. Gosh, I'm blanking on his name. Noah Syndergaard and Matt Harvey, that's it. They typically get hurt and are unable to play for good chunks of the season. So that's why I'm saying for now the Mets have a good record. Also, a lot of teams make adjustments and play a lot better, starting halfway through the season or after the All-Star break. So we'll have to see if they can keep this up. They could just be like the White Sox last year and have a great April and then suck absolutely the rest of the year. And I mentioned the White Sox. So we'll talk about that in a little bit here because obviously being a White Sox fan, I actually follow them unlike most of the teams in the MLB. Anywho, Reds fired their manager today. Brian Price went 3-15 in the first 18 games of the season, so they dumped him out. Possible replacements, I'm sure Tyler could list a lot more. Joe Girardi, maybe even, you never know. That could be a good idea for the Reds if they want to get something going. Ohtani, I just found out the ESPN on their website, if you go to more, they have an Ohtani tracker. And it's not like an Angels page. It's just for Shohei Ohtani. So that's funny. He got lit up the other day against the Red Sox. And then they're saying he has a blister on his hand that's preventing him from pitching good. So, I wish I had Tyler here to ask him what he thought about this. But, is that just a bad outing by Ohtani that he, gave up a couple home runs and got taken out of the game decently early? Or is it just because they were playing a good team in the Red Sox? The Angels have a better record, one of the better records right now as well, with 13-5. So, who knows? It could just be a bad outing. We'll have to see. Ohtani is scheduled to play tonight as a batter, but not as a pitcher. His next pitching start, I believe, is supposed to be Saturday, and they said he should be ready for that. So we'll have to see how he does there. He could bounce back against, I don't even know who they're playing because I'm not looking at the schedule right now, but he could bounce back and pitch really good and continue pitching good and just had a bad outing, or who knows. Yesterday we had some long games. The Indians and the Twins down in Puerto Rico went 16 innings in a not-so-exciting game. The final score was 2-1, with the Twins taking that one. And the White Sox and the Athletics went 14 innings, and this one was a little bit more exciting. There was actually runs being scored consistently throughout the game. But the A's snuck away with this one, 12-1 in the 14th. So one of the big things that came out of that game was what the heck was up with the pitching yesterday on both sides. Both pitchers, starting pitchers, were taken out of the game by the second inning. And I have no idea. I mean, I could see why maybe the A's pitcher got taken out because he gave up 6 runs in, I think it was just 1 inning. Maybe it was 2. I think it was just 1. But Carson Fulmer had 2 runs 2 earned runs, a couple hits. No big deal. I mean, he was getting it done, and they still took him out in the second. Like, oh my Lord, Ricky, what are you doing? He definitely jeopardized that game by taking Carson Fulmer out of it, because then you have to put in this awful White Sox bullpen. And I forgot to have a follow-up tweet with what I said yesterday, but I tweeted about this game because I was trying to pay attention to it while I was also at another panel yesterday for Com Week. That was actually a really interesting panel because it was an ISU alum and some other co-workers of his from WGN News in Chicago, and they were talking about all kinds of different things. So it was actually fairly interesting. But during that, I was trying to keep up with what was going on with the White Sox game, and they said that Carson Fulmer got taken out in the second. Like, seriously? And I tweeted that Fulmer had been taken out, and I was curious at how badly the Sox bullpen was going to blow this game. Well, at first it wasn't too bad because the Sox built a 6-1 lead, or a 6-2 lead, and then it was an 8-4 lead, but then they started giving up some runs, and it was an 8-5 lead, 8-6 lead, 8-7 lead. Then the Sox scored, and it was 10-8. Or 10-7, and then the A's scored some more, and it was 11-10. Well, the Sox scored in the 9th to keep it tied, and they go into extras, and nobody could score. Some people could get on base, but that was about it. The White Sox really struggled to get anybody on base in the extra innings, and the A's kept stranding a bunch of guys, but the Sox bullpen was just awful. I mean, the best reliever on the entire team is Bruce Rondon, and he's been pitching phenomenal. Other than that, everybody else, I think it was Volstad yesterday on his first pitch almost gave up a home run, or he did give up a home run, one of the two. That was awful. I remember just watching that pitch, like it was like the most lackadaisical looking pitch right down the middle, and it just got cranked out of here. Like, that's ugh. And then when they put James Shields in the 14th, there goes the game right there. My Lord, having to put in your worst starter to try to save a game? Awful. Good things to take out of this, though. Yoan Moncada had a bounce-back game. He had a couple plays to keep the game tied and keep the Sox alive in this. He also had his first career grand slam yesterday, which helped put the Sox ahead early, but after that, he only had one more hit the rest of the game. But the grand slam was enough for everybody to forget about him going 2 for 7 yesterday. I think he had one walk, though, so not as bad. But the game made me feel like Yolmer Sanchez after he struck out swinging yesterday and snapped that bat in half over his knee. So, yay, White Sox, you looked good for the first few innings. If this would have ended after 6, you would have won. Oh, my Lord, that was a long game. So now we move on. We'll talk about some NFL stuff. Retirement, that's been a trend recently. Nick Mangold, the center for the Jets, retired. Fred Jackson, the running back for the Bills, retired. Which I didn't even actually hardly hear anything about that. I was just double checking to see the guys that did retire, and his name was on that list. And then I saw an article about it. So, yep, he retired, and I didn't even know about it. James Harrison, the former Steelers, Bengals, and Patriots linebacker, retiring. Big story out of that. Will the Steelers ever forgive him for leaving the Steelers to go to the Patriots? Who knows? He did enough for the Steelers. I think they'll be able to forgive him. Bills guard Richie Incognito's retired. He said the stress of being an NFL player got to him, and he just needs to be done. Dwight Freeney, the great pass rusher, signed a one-day contract with the Colts and will retire as an Indianapolis Colt. And Devin Hester and Matt Forte signed one-year deals to retire with the Chicago Bears. New uniforms in the NFL. The Titans. I don't know how I feel about those. I think we touched on these when they actually came out. Oh, there we go. There's a good notification. The NFL schedule is out, so we'll pick that out here in a minute to talk about some notable games. But right now we're talking about the uniforms, and I had this pulled up on my phone. Let's see if it's still here. Wow, why is it taking so long? There we go. Okay, so the new Titans uniforms, they changed their helmet. It's a darker blue now. They got rid of the white. Face mask is still gray. Their regular home uniforms, I believe, are either gray or dark blue pants. I think it looks more like gray, maybe white. There's probably several different color combinations for pants, but their home jersey for regular, just their normal games is a dark blue, and they've got like gray, I don't know what you want to call that, just like gray chunks, I guess, on their shoulders. I'm sure there's a fancy name for that, and I just don't know what it is. But like just on the shoulder pad, there's like a little sliver of it, and that is a little bigger than a little sliver. There's like a slice cut out of it that's just gray, where they put the number, and it's not just like right where the number is. It goes down the shoulder onto like the sleeve. It doesn't look too bad. Then they've got their light blue uniforms, same thing, that weird gray spot on the shoulders, and then their white away uniforms with the white spot or the gray spot on the shoulder. They don't look bad. Oh, and now I'm seeing that the gray patch is a two-tone. It's light gray in the front and a darker gray on the back. Now, I do not understand that, but do your thing, Tennessee. I really hate the number font, I will say that. Where it says Titans, that's okay. Where it says Titans looks okay. But the numbers, the font for the numbers just looks awful. Like, it's way too big, for one. Because looking at this one, 31, isn't that Bayard, I want to say, maybe? The 3 on his uniform is just massive. 3-1. The 1 just looks so out of place next to this giant 3 that's on him. Taylor Lewan's doesn't look too bad, the 7-7. And then I don't know who that other guy is. I don't know every single player on every single NFL team, so sorry. But who's that? 85, I think that says. I don't know. The 8 looks okay, but the 5 looks gaudy. I don't know how I feel about it. I like the all dark looking uniforms, but it looks like the helmet might be a darker blue than what the jerseys are. So that's going to mess with people. So who knows? Well, I'll have to actually see it on like game day to say whether or not I like it or not. The Dolphins also released that they did some improvements to their uniforms, and I have to say I'm kind of disappointed. So all they really did was on their last new quote unquote uniform was have a brighter orange and a brighter seafoam green or whatever they want, aqua color, and then they put like a blue outline between like the aqua and the orange stripes. Well, basically all they did was get rid of that outline between the aqua and the orange, and they made the outline of the numbers and the names just orange. They made the aqua color a little bit darker, and that's it. Yeah, big ordeal right there. New uniforms. So that's fantastic, I suppose. And then the Jaguars, they changed their uniforms. They kind of just went back to what they were originally doing. The helmet, the two-tone is gone. It's just black with the Jaguar on it now. They have come out and said that their pants are going to be interchangeable for every game, for every jersey. Their main jersey that they will wear at home is just black with a little bit of teal on the shoulder pad, it looks like, and a Jaguar on the left shoulder. So that's really boring now. I really wish they would have just kept at least just the jersey from their last year's uniforms. Like, get rid of the two-tone helmet, but keep like last year's jersey, because I really liked that one. I liked the color scheme of it and everything. It was fun. It was new. It was modern. These jerseys look very plain and very boring. Their alternate jersey is the teal. Again, super boring looking. Just all teal. A little bit of black on the shoulders. Oh, now I see there's a little bit of color around the neck with the collar. And then there's not even an outline around the numbers. It's just plain white. So I don't like that. I don't think the black helmet looks good with the all teal either. I mean, maybe a little bit, but like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan. And then, the white jersey, the same as all the other ones, just plain white. A little bit of black on the shoulders, a little bit of black around the collar, and then just plain black numbers with the Jaguar on the left chest, I guess is what that would be. So that's not very exciting. The weird thing that they have in all of these is a slanted teal color on the socks. They have socks now that if you're coming from cleat up, it's white, a weird slanted teal patch, and then black up to the knee. So that's kind of unique that they put that teal spot in there. But it's going to be weird now that they're going to have... Oh, well, no, I guess they can wear the socks a little bit different. Because some players like to wear the white all the way up to their... like right below their knee and then have another color. Some players like to have the white all the way down at the bottom of their shoe and then it's a different color coming up. The first picture here looks like, you just have to have white, blue, or white, teal, and then black up to the knee. But then you look over a little bit more and you can see that they have the white pulled down, so that it'll work out. I don't know. And I don't like that they have just a plain black gloss helmet now. I liked what they had before, where it was like a sparkle helmet. It added just a little bit of extra flair to it, or just even a flat black helmet with the Jaguar on it. That would look cool. Not a big fan of what the Jaguars did. So, there's your new uniforms. And as everybody probably knows by now, Dez Bryant got released by the Cowboys. So, where's he going to go there? Teams that need wide receivers, people have been saying Green Bay, others have been saying Baltimore. We'll have to see what happens there. One thing that did happen, the Giants cut Brandon Marshall after he made a comment about how there's no room on the team for Dez Bryant. Is there now room on the team for Dez Bryant? You're going to have Odell on one side and Dez on the other side? That would be a big upgrade for the Giants. And Dez said he wanted to play the Cowboys twice a year. He said, I'll see you twice a year next year. So, who knows? That could be a big deal. I'm kind of back and forth on should Green Bay sign Dallas. And reason being is if they sign him and he plays really good, there's going to be so many people out there saying that, like, oh, yep, I told you so. This is me. I knew it. And then there's going to be so many people that if he plays bad, be like, oh, I told you this was going to suck. Why did they ever sign him? I don't know. I don't think I would mind it, but it wouldn't be my favorite deal. They've got cap space to do other things to fill other needs, so I think they might have to sign a safety for a year or two, and that, just to get like Josh Jones and maybe another safety draft pick, or get Kentrell Bryce more ready. Who knows? They could also sign maybe another, probably not another corner, because they'll probably end up drafting one. And they already have two veteran guys now with bringing Tramon Williams back and having Devon House. They could maybe get another linebacker. I know there's been a lot of talk about signing a middle linebacker or even an outside guy as a pass rusher. We'll have to see what they do with that. Earl Thomas, that's been a big question mark. Whether or not the Seahawks are going to keep him, they're going to trade him, what are they going to do? So the things I've been seeing is he could retire, which I don't think he should. He's got a lot of talent left that he could go to another team and be able to impact them instantly. He's already reached out to the Dallas Cowboys saying that he would love to play for them, and if he would become a free agent, that they should come get him. And that's a bold strategy to just go straight to one team and say, hey guys, come get me. That's weird. The Seahawks also don't have a second or a third round pick in this year's draft, so they very well could trade him for a lot of high upside with a second or third round, or even multiple second or third round picks. I don't know that they would really be able to get multiple second round picks, but they could probably get maybe a second and a fourth round pick for him. Who knows? But the Seahawks definitely are trying to rebuild, like they definitely should right now. They lost a lot of talent, so why not trade away what you have right now and try to get some new young talent to rebuild a decent roster there in Seattle. Now moving on to ESPN, they're trying to stir the pot with some of the big teams this year, and it's kind of annoying. They came out with the Brady Belichick Kraft drama late in the year around the Super Bowl time, and now they're trying to say that Aaron Rodgers is frustrated with the Packers organization for not having him included in certain things, which the thing that I would get out of that is I'm glad that he wants to be a part of this organization and have a say. At the same time, I don't think he's disgruntled. I think if Aaron said, hey, go for this guy, they would at least attempt to go for somebody, whether it be draft or free agency. I'm sure he was probably really upset about the Jordy thing, but they thought, I don't know what they thought. It was a stupid move. But yeah, so they're trying to say that he's upset with the organization, and he came out and tweeted that, how am I supposed to, say anything about this article when I'm in India talking to the Dalai Lama, and I agree, how are you supposed to know when he's traveling around? It's off season, let him do his thing. He's rehabbing his shoulder, he's traveling around doing charity things, he's talking to the friggin' Dalai Lama. I'm pretty sure you can't just go up and talk to that guy. So, who knows? They're just trying to start stupid stuff. And a lot of people think it's because ESPN's going under, so they're digging for stories, trying to start things. And that's just stupid. But, I'm tweeting out news before I even get the ESPN event or alert for it. So, maybe they are going under if just me can be better than them. And I love being better than them. It's great. Okay, so let's move on to some draft stuff. The draft is next Friday, and there is all kinds of weird stuff happening. So everybody already knows that the Colts traded with the Jets, so the Jets could move up to number 3. Now the Browns, they have the first and the fourth pick, and there's all kinds of speculation on what they could do with that pick. One of those is they could trade one of the 2 draft picks, or even both of them for what? More picks? Or players? What exactly are they looking to do in a trade like that? Definitely they're going to end up trading probably the 4th pick, if anything, because why would you trade the first overall pick? If you want a specific player, you'd use that first pick on that specific player. You don't trade it away and then hope they're still there at 4. So who knows? Trade both picks and sign Tom Brady. That'd be great. I think that'd be fantastic. That's been a thing. Now nobody's even saying that they're going to take Saquon Barkley. And that would just be nuts, because the dude's so good. He'll probably drop down to 4, so if you want to take him at 4, then take him at 4. Some people now are starting to say that the Giants are going to take him at number 2, and that's questionable as well now. I mean, they need to help quarterback the situation. Eli's not going to be there forever. He's already kind of on the downward swing. He's losing talent. The offensive line's not helping him out. He's getting beat up. He could retire tomorrow. Who knows? So you got to draft somebody to, get ready for when that happens. They got Davis Webb, who I think is a great quarterback. Is he going to be great in the NFL? We have yet to see, because the Giants won't do anything with him. When they started Geno Smith last year, they didn't even activate Davis Webb. They kept Eli as their backup, which would have created a super awkward situation. But now it's what are they going to do? Are they going to take a quarterback? Are they going to take a defensive lineman, Giants have so many options, but a lot of people are saying Barkley now. A weird thing that came out of apparently Cleveland, they're going to draft 2 quarterbacks with the first 4 picks. So maybe Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen or Josh Allen will be going to Cleveland. That I honestly don't know. That could pan out. If they do that, they could keep one of them as their starter that they think is the better one, and then trade the other one to a quarterback needy team for more draft picks. Or they, I don't even know. Maybe they could draft them and then trade them for other players or something. Who knows? It's a weird situation. It's also been said that John Dorsey, the new GM of the Browns, has said he's not even telling the owner of the Browns what he's doing. He's not telling anybody but his little group of, associates. And that's just weird. Don't you want the owner of the team to know what you're doing? I mean, he hired you to do a good job, and if he doesn't think you're doing a good job, it's probably because you're hiding things from him. So that's an odd situation there. Another team that potentially will be trading picks, the Broncos at 5. John Elway said he's open to trading that pick. Some people might want to trade up for that. It's been rumored that the Bills might. The Saints have also been rumored in that to trading up into the top 10 to draft Drew Brees' successor, which could happen, could be needed, I should say, in a couple years, if not, by next year maybe. All it takes is one hit to really change a guy's mind. So we'll have to see what happens there. So the Broncos said they're open to trading that pick. John Elway also said himself he's open to taking a quarterback at number 5, depending on who's there. So if their guy is there, which I don't know who their guy is, they could take him. And I'm sure their guy, knowing who's drafting before them, is probably Baker Mayfield. And that's not surprising. Maybe even Josh Allen. So we could possibly see another QB going to Denver. I still don't think they're going to give up on Paxton Lynch yet. That's why I think, if anything, they're going to trade that draft pick, because I think they want Paxton Lynch to pan out. He's got a great, physical presence to play quarterback in the NFL. He's tall. He can move. He's got good arm strength. We'll have to see what they do there. The Bills, they're another team rumored to be trading up. They've already moved up in the draft to go to number 12. At that pick, it's been said that they'll take a quarterback. At 12, who are you going to get, though, at that pick? Maybe Lamar Jackson, which would be a great pick, in my opinion. Maybe Mason Rudolph, if they want to spend a first-round pick on him. I don't know. I think by that point, pretty much all the quarterbacks can be taken. There has been links to Baker Mayfield possibly going to the Bills. The Bills would then have to trade with the Broncos to do something like that. If they do something like that, then there's potential that they could have, maybe Josh Allen there as well. So if they want a better pick and better option to get a quarterback, if that's what they're doing, their GM said that they may not go quarterback, then they definitely need to trade up to 5. If they're not going to go quarterback, then they've got several different options there at 12. They could revamp the defense with a safety like Derwin James or another DB in Minka Fitzpatrick. They could take an offensive lineman possibly if somebody like McGlinchey or Nelson's still there. Maybe even Orlando Brown at tackle. They got a couple offensive line things that they need to address. Maybe even a linebacker. They lost Preston Brown this offseason. There's so many places that they could improve on. So we'll have to see. They got a lot of options there at 12. Whether or not they trade up, stay the same, what direction they go, who knows. The thing that comes up with the quarterback then is, why did they sign A.J. McCarron? They did only sign him to a 2-year deal, so that makes you wonder, is that just kind of making him a transition kind of guy, that they don't think he's going to be the future? He himself was even coming out saying, well, you don't have to be this or this or this to be a successful quarterback in the league. The big knock against him is his arm strength. And he said, well, you don't need arm strength to be a great quarterback in the league. How often are you throwing the ball 60 yards downfield? Which is true. I mean, Tom Brady's made a living out of throwing little 5-yard dink passes, so you definitely don't need to be able to throw it that deep. So yeah, the Bills have multiple options they could go there. So now let's get into the NFL schedule that came out today. If we look at the first matchup, we have the Atlanta Falcons at the Philadelphia Eagles. The thing that comes up with that matchup is not only is it a playoff rematch, but who's going to be starting at quarterback for the Eagles? Is it going to be Carson Wentz? Is it going to be Nick Foles? Is Carson Wentz even going to be ready by that point? We'll have to see. The other possibly notable games that week, Houston at New England. The last time those two teams played, it was a very high-scoring, exciting game. Deshaun Watson will be back, and J.J. Watt should be back as well, so we'll have to see. That could be a very interesting game. San Francisco at Minnesota. Participant in the NFC Championship game in Minnesota and a revamped Niners team. That could be a very good game. Pittsburgh at Cleveland. Pittsburgh almost lost to Cleveland twice last year. Cleveland's made upgrades. Will they be able to beat the Steelers? Who knows? Let's see. Who else do we have? I guess Chicago at Green Bay could be an interesting game. The Bears have made some moves in the offseason. It's the biggest rivalry in the NFL. And we'll have to see if that gains anything. Aaron Rodgers' first full game back from breaking his collarbone last season. So we'll have to see, is he going to turn out to be 2014 Aaron Rodgers, MVP Aaron Rodgers? Or is he, going to be a little rusty still? Will the Bears be able to compete? They picked up some offensive pieces. Maybe Mitch Trubisky has a good game. Maybe they take the reins off of him a little bit this year. Who knows? We'll have to see. And I don't know if my teacher Laura listens to this anymore, but super jealous of her. She gets to meet Aaron Rodgers next week. I wish I could go with, but I have no idea how she's meeting him, and I have class that day, sadly. I'll have to find it. She said Tuesday, but I have class with her on Tuesday, so we'll have to see what's going on there. Yeah, maybe I'll be able to sneak out and go with her. That'd be great. She's asked me today, what do I say to him? I'm like, do you want me to write a bunch of questions you could ask for him? Ask for me? And then I can report. You can report about it at the news station that we work with, or I can talk about it here. She didn't quite go for that one, but who knows? We'll continue here with the schedule. That's week 1 of the NFL season. If we move on to week 2, Carolina, Atlanta, that could be a good game. Minnesota at Green Bay. First time Aaron Rodgers is playing Minnesota since his injury. Will Minnesota get the best of him, or will Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers get their revenge? We'll have to see. Other possibly notable games that week. Kansas City at Pittsburgh. Patrick Mahomes and that newer Kansas City offense going against the veteran Steelers. How's that going to work out? That'll be a great environment for Patrick Mahomes to test himself in there at Heinz Field. Anything else going on that week? New England at Jacksonville. Will the Jags be able to beat the Patriots this time? They definitely should have been able to beat them in the AFC Championship game, and they just couldn't get it done. Another thing to note here that I'm noticing, the Thursday night games are starting week 1. I'm pretty sure last week they started at like the 3rd or 4th week of the season, so it's kind of weird that they're starting week 1 with this. New York at Dallas that week. That could be something potentially big if Dez Bryant decides to sign with the Giants. If he doesn't, then it's nothing more than just a division rivalry. Let's go on to week 3 here. The Jets at the Browns. That'll be a great game, I'm sure. The Niners at the Chiefs. That could be a very good game. Tennessee at Jacksonville. A big AFC South matchup there. Both of those teams were fighting for first in that division last year and for that playoff spot. The Battle of Los Angeles happens that week in week 3. Chargers at the Rams. Not really an away game for either team. We'll have to see how that one pans out. The Rams have added a ton of help this offseason, but the Chargers looked really good last year and have picked up a few pieces here and there. Let's go move on to week 4. The Vikings at the Rams on Thursday night. I think that could be a swing in the opposite direction from what happened last year. Last season, the Rams went into Minnesota. They scored right off the bat and then just couldn't do anything the rest of the game and got whooped. This time around, it's in LA. The Rams have added some more pieces to help stop the opposing offenses, more so on that defense in the secondary and up front. And who's to say that Kirk Cousins will even play well with the Vikings? You don't know. Excuse me, they don't have Case Keenum anymore, or Sam Bradford, or Teddy Bridgewater for that matter, so we'll have to see. The other game that could be really fun that week, Buffalo at Green Bay. Scotty, the guy that used to be on here with me doing the show, he texted me today and said, dude, Buffalo at Green Bay, we are going. So we'll see. Maybe we'll be reporting live from Lambeau Field come September. That would be phenomenal and also incredible as a fan. Let's see. Anything else that week? Not really. That week we got Baltimore at Pittsburgh for the first installment of that AFC North rivalry. We'll go on to week 5. Anything here? Jacksonville at Kansas City. 2 decent defenses going against each other there. I don't know why I said decent. I mean, one really great defense and one good defense, I suppose. Raiders at the Chargers. That could have the potential to be a close, very good game. Rams at the Seahawks. That game's always a tough game, but the Rams always seem to get the better of the Seahawks. Maybe now that the roles are switched and the Seahawks aren't the good team this time, the Rams are. Might flip it around. Who knows? Dallas at Houston. The battle for Texas there. We'll have to see how Dak and Zeke come back this year and how they fare against J.J. Watt and the Houston Texans. Move on to week 6. Eagles at the Giants. That could be a big game. By that time, hopefully Carson Wentz is starting for them. We'll have to see, depending on how well Nick Foles plays. Any other notable matchups? Arizona at Minnesota. Sam Bradford, if he's even still playing, if he's not hurt by that time, coming back to Minnesota. Chicago at Miami, if Jay Cutler decides to come back to Miami for another year, which that still hasn't been decided upon or not. Cutler could be playing against his old team again. Rams at the Broncos. If the Broncos are able to revamp that defense to what they are used to having, that could be a very fun game to watch to see how well the Rams do against that Denver defense. And it's at Denver, so they're going to have the advantage of that altitude, which honestly I've been there and it's not that bad, but apparently some of these guys just absolutely cannot handle it. Kansas City at New England. Last time that happened, the Chiefs had a great time with the Patriots, and they ended up beating them. And that every time it seems like the Chiefs beat the Patriots, something happens there to where they always say that Tom Brady's washed up and whatnot. So we'll have to see how that goes. The Monday night game that week, San Francisco at Green Bay. Depending on how well Jimmy G and the Niners have rebuilt that team and how well they've put things together in such a short time, that could be a very good game playing against Aaron Rodgers in the frozen tundra.